human to human interaction at the moment is your edge, right? It won't be long before that's like your only advantage. There's still people talking about a downturn. This is not a downturn. And so stop harking back to how amazing 2022 was. This is the norm.
It was almost a superficial
completely
period of
superficial.
time, wasn't it?
Well, everyone was scratching around for staff, weren't they?
For most of us, it should be beyond that. Like, it should be meeting people for coffee, going in and seeing people for service reviews, proper face-to-face stuff, you know, like events. I think that's going to be the big thing. And there'll be loads of people that just don't embrace it.
Welcome to In The Mixx, People and Talent, the podcast where we dive into stories, challenges and successes shaping the world of HR and talent. Each episode, we sit down with the people behind the company, HR leaders, talent experts and business innovators to uncover what really drives great teams and thriving workplaces.
Today we are on episode 10, our final guest, Jamie. Welcome to the pod.
Thank you for having me.
We have a tradition on the podcast where we type your name into ChatGPT and see what it spits out. Have you done this before?
No, I haven't, no.
Okay.
You look nervous while you're doing the little
do you know what?
I don't know what it's going to say. It's solely professional.
Okay.
Right, solely professional, don't worry.
Right.
Jamie is the founder of a recruitment, training and coaching practice that's transforming how organisations develop their people and strengthen performance. With a background as a top billing recruiter and senior leader, Jamie understands the full talent life cycle, from attracting and onboarding new hires to nurturing capability and building high performance cultures. He's known for his psychology-led practical approach, blending real recruitment experience with behavioural science as a master practitioner of NLP. Jamie's programs help teams improve consistency, confidence and communication, making him a trusted partner for HR and talent leaders focused on long-term growth. His commitment to authenticity, ambition and continuous improvement has made him a standout voice in modern people development.
It feels like I should take that and make that my about me on LinkedIn, doesn't it?
It's in his bio,
pretty
isn't it?
good, yeah.
It's interesting because some people it managed to extract loads of information on and other people not so much, but your one was pretty solid.
Yeah, I like that. Thanks.
Good stuff. It would be good for you to give us a bit of an overview in terms of the transition, or a little bit of an overview of your career, I guess, where you started and how you've ended up where you are.
So, like most people, recruitment was an accident. I actually worked in retail. So I worked for a brand called Ted Baker that, as we record this, is on the verge of not existing anymore, unfortunately. So I did very, very well there. I was like one of the youngest managers, like store managers, all that kind of stuff. And then I did something that I shouldn't have done, and I was sacked.
Oh.
I'd
Care
heard...
to share, Jamie?
You're
like swiftly moving on. Are you allowed to say?
Yeah, I'm allowed to say, yeah. So it's... It sounds more extreme than what it actually was. So in the end, it was... the thing I was arrested for was fraud by misrepresentation.
Okay.
Everything was dropped, no further action, because actually I was doing something to make our store performance look better than what it was. One of the store performances looked better than what they actually were, in a way that was probably a bit naughty. But even the police looked at it and was like, This is a bit much, isn't it? Like we're talking about a couple of £100 here of falsifying figures. So, but at the time, Ted Baker took a bit of a stance, and they sacked me. And
maybe you wanted to make an example of you in the situation so that others didn't.
Yeah, probably some of that, and who knows? But that it was what it was, and actually, it's probably the best thing that ever happened to me, because there'd been a few other store managers that had left and gone into recruitment, and talking to them before I'd been asked to leave, you get all of these stories that, oh yeah, I've earned like $100,000 in my first year and I've just bought a Porsche, and obviously none of it's true, but I was like, right, well that's what I'll do. And so I applied for 3 jobs and got interviews for 2 of them, got offered one of them, and obviously just accepted that one. And it was, I don't know whether, sometimes like you distort stories in your own head, but as I remember it, in the second interview, they said, like, we'd like to offer you a job. And I was like, oh, great, like I can start on Monday. And they said, oh, no, it'd be probably 2 or 3 weeks before we can get you started. I was like, no, I can start Monday. Like I don't have a job. And And they were kind of like, oh no, because it'll be 2 or 3 weeks before we've got a desk spare. Someone will be gone by then, and there'll be somewhere for you to sit, kind of thing. And that was kind of the culture there. It was like trainees were sort of cannon fodder. It was like very KPI driven, 100 calls a day, all that kind of stuff. But I didn't know any different, and I absolutely loved it. And that was my introduction to recruitment. So I was there for 4 years, and after 4 years, that company was acquired by Randstad, who at the time were the second biggest recruitment company in the world. And they bought the company I worked for, Burrows of Blake Thomas, and they bought our biggest competitor, Hill McGlynn, and they merged us. And so it was a really odd time because a week previous, you and I had competed against each other. The following week, we're sat in the same office, and we just got told, you're now called Randstad CPE. And there was quite a lot of confrontation, as you can probably imagine. Yeah. That was a weird kind of time. And the company obviously changed. It needed to. It was the Wild West, and it now started to become a little bit more corporate. And so I ended up leaving there, and long story short, I did a start-up with 2 mates, an education recruitment business, and we grew that from 3 of us in a shed in their back garden to we peaked at 37 people in that business. I left there in 2018 and took a sales director job at a much, much, much larger agency, which was a huge eye-opener. I got to be part of things that like acquiring other businesses and growing headcount by 30% over a year and all that kind of stuff. And I suppose that's where really I found myself doing more and more training. Because when you go from 100 heads to 130, you can't do that through, like, you have to hire trainees to grow at that scale. But also when you grow that quickly, the biggest bottleneck in most recruitment businesses anyway that are trying to scale is middle leadership, like team leaders, team managers. And so like you have to create and grow your own team leaders, which is you end up training people. And so I found myself doing lots and lots of training and development, and eventually just bit the bullet and set up a training company in 2019. And yeah, since then I've been training recruiters.
2019, so that was before we went into national lockdown, or was that during?
No,
it was 21. It was 20, so 2 years before.
Well, so that was we went in, didn't we?
March 21, yeah.
March 2020 we went in.
Was it?
Yeah, it was March 2020. And I'll tell you, so I set the business up in December 2019.
It's called COVID-19, isn't it? So we just come into the new year of 2020 and it all kicked off.
It was, set the business up in December, started having some sort of like tentative conversations. By January, I'd started teeing up some work, and it was, this is all right. Yeah. This is going to go okay. And then...
I know what you're going to say.
Then the shit just hit the fan. And it was like, we're going to cancel. I was like, I've got no work now. Then we went into lockdown. And there was, I don't know if you remember at the time, there was 5% of people in the UK that weren't entitled to anything.
Yeah.
And it was basically, if you hadn't had your business long enough to show some records of accounts, if you hadn't been employed for long enough, or like, and I was in this 5% where you get nothing. I ended up actually. So my dad is a gas fitter, and he was like, "Do you want to come and work for me?" And I was like these hands don't get dirty. Like, I'm not that kind.
You sound like Chris.
Yeah,
now.
like that is not my skill set at all. But he was like, "Just carry the fucking toolbox," and so like it felt really like he laid off this guy that worked for him, and he used to pay this guy 150 quid a day cash, and it was like, "I'll just give you 150 quid a day cash." Like without that, I don't know what I would have done. I don't know what I would do. And obviously everyone suspended their mortgages and all that kind of stuff, but just to live. And so, yeah, that was for that period. And then in when I wasn't working with him, I was still trying to do some like free, like online webinars and all that kind of stuff. And
did you always know that you was going to come back?
Oh, yeah.
So it was just like, see it through, and then get back to what you know and what you're at.
Was it you and Jamie at this point, or just you?
No, it was just me. Yeah, it was just me. So Jamie's been with me now for about a year, or just over a year as we record this. Maybe a year and a bit. But yeah, for the first 4 years, it was just me. Yeah,
scary.
It's a similar story, really. Gemma and I joined in COVID. So obviously Gemma previously owned a recruitment business. I'd started Somnium at the time before we changed to MIXXOS, and then we joined forces, didn't we? And I think We was in Krakow, wasn't we?
Yeah.
And my brother was working in the business at the time. And I just remember him calling me. It was like, I remember it. We was by the big castle in Krakow, and my phone rang. It was my brother, and I was like, "You right, mate?" And at this time, I think we had like 100 grand's worth of jobs
On interview,
and we were like flying, like really on the kind of upward curve of growth. And so I was like, "Oh, how's that job?" I can't remember the exact job. How's that job getting? I was like, "Oh no, that they've just decided to stop it." And I was like, What have you done?" Anyway, he calls it back like an hour later. Another client's pulled a job. Another client, and then like basically by the end of the day we had no jobs, and it was like, what's going on over there? And then that's when obviously COVID come in.
Yeah.
And then madly, me and you would just join forces, didn't we? So
yeah.
We
still stuck to our guns. We pursued, didn't we, and just laid low for half a year.
It seems like forever ago, but actually it was.
Yeah.
It's only a few years back.
Yeah, it does, and it's you know, like when anyone talks about an event now, you're like, was that pre-COVID or post-COVID? You know, they're like, oh, I remember Sandra's wedding. Was that before COVID or after? That's almost like your marker, isn't it, of time?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So 5 years with your training business now, around about, just over.
Yeah, just over 5 years, yeah.
We've had the privilege of obviously being on the other end of your work. You do some great stuff here at MIXXOS, which we're really, happy with. And as you said, it's not just your consultants, but it's also your middle management, and what does that success plan look like for people? Talent acquisition is a really big thing, and I think a lot of this has come post-COVID as well, is for organisations to either bring on or to pad out their TA teams. Would you say recruiters are slightly ahead of TA in terms of strategies, forward thinking, and what 26 looks like? Or would you say they're pretty much on par? And is there any advice, tips you could give? Because we have a massive TA audience as part of In The Mixx community, and I think they could really benefit from what you might have to share. Some of our best clients, by the way, are not just direct HR or line managers. We do work very closely hand in hand with amazing talent acquisition specialists.
So I've been lucky enough to do some training over the last 12 months with some internal teams as well, at some like well-known brands and logos. And I think there's I was going to say this how I viewed this for a long time, and I think lots of recruiters do, is I think there's often this misconception that anyone that works internal talent is there because they weren't very good at recruitment, and therefore they've had to go internal.
Seems to be that.
I see this battle on LinkedIn all of the time. It's
the narrative, and it's completely untrue.
Yeah.
Like one of the very best, I call them like a sourcer, because that's what they are, like a
what, like a wizard?
Like a sorcerer. Yeah, like a hunter of people, works internal and probably earns more money than most recruiters in this country. But I do think there's, if you were to generalise, there's differences in you said, are they further ahead? My gut is yes, for the most part. And I'm sure there'll be some people listening going, no, I've got my ducks in a row. You might, but the general sort of internal talent community versus the general recruitment community, probably, I think typically, or certainly the recruiters we work with, are further ahead in terms of strategy. And I think the general thing is it tends to be far more reactive in-house, which sounds weird, right? But you get a knock on the door, you get an email through from a head of engineering, we need X, Y, Z, off you go. Whereas if a recruiter spends all day, every day, just working in the engineering space, hopefully they're doing all those things of building passive candidate pools, building relationships, nurturing those, that whole like delayed gratification thing, investing in a relationship that I don't know will ever pay off, but I'm going to do it anyway, versus, right, let's, I don't know, stick an advert out or go hunting on job boards or LinkedIn messaging or whatever you do over here. So I think that's one of the things. But yeah, generally I think agency recruiters tend to be further ahead. And
what sort of shifts do you see coming into play from Jan 26 onwards in the kind of talent and recruitment space?
I think like relationship is the most overused word in recruitment, I think. But I just think I know this will come up, and I'm not an expert on it, but AI is such a disruptor in everything that we're doing at the moment. But what it also means is being human and human to human interaction at the moment is your edge, right? As a recruiter or an internal talent person, as anyone that's involved in the recruitment process, human to human is your edge. And actually, it won't be long. I don't know how long, but it won't be long before that's like your only advantage. And so I think that's massive. That has to be. And there's still people that are hiding behind a keyboard and sending emails and messages and not being human. And I think those are the people that are going to win in 2026. There's still people talking about a downturn. This is not a downturn. This is normal, right? This is the new norm. And so stop harking back to how amazing 2022 was, because it was a long time ago. Yeah, the post-COVID boom, right? That's gone. Yeah. And so this is the norm.
It was almost a superficial
completely
period of time,
superficial,
wasn't it?
Completely.
Everything was up the spout. Salaries, demand from candidates. It was just so...
Well, everyone was scratching around for staff, weren't they? Everyone had laid everyone off during the pandemic, and then everyone was scratching around to get people, and there was inflated salaries. It was, the candidates were definitely in the driving seat at that point, weren't they? Obviously, it's flipped again now. Yeah,
completely. And so whether you're trying to win business or whether you're trying to attract the best talent, being human is... That sounds like such a stupid thing to say, doesn't it? But like... The lowest form of being human is spending most of your time speaking to other humans on a telephone. But I think actually for most of us, it should be beyond that. Like, it should be meeting people for coffee. It should be going in and seeing people for service reviews and proper face-to-face stuff, like events. And I think that's going to be the big thing. And there'll be loads of people that just don't embrace it, that just...
Interestingly, there's I've got lots of friends that are in TA and they're incredible, and I agree with what you said. It's not failed recruiters by no stretch. There seems to be more of a push for internal talent teams now to actually be networking, go out, be face-to-face, pick up candidates in those environments, because
it's almost like company brands kind of coming into it a little bit as well, because they're the face of people engaging with talent.
It seems to be part of the KPIs, and quite a few people that I know now, and some of them are all for it, and some of them are like, wow, this is like completely out of my comfort zone. But like, go onto that podcast, go to that event, put yourself out there, think of ways to attract people to our brand, not just by posting an advert. Because I think those days of post and pray, I mean, certainly externally, we had to let go of those. I think 2009, back in the day when I started in recruitment, that was the way, the only way. And you had it made, but now you can't. That for us is like the last resort, is to post an advert. We kind of do that just to let clients know that we are alive and that we do have jobs here, and candidates the same, but that's certainly not how we attract people. So what tips would you give to TA to attract really good people into their business, but not just on a reactive basis when clients have a need, or when their line manager says, God, I've had a resignation, move fast? How can they keep that going even if they don't have a live vacancy there?
Do you know, I think there's a few things, right? There's several things that good recruiters are doing that, for the most part, TA aren't doing. And do you know what you said there, like the past, like back in 2009, posting adverts? I think if you go another 20 years before that, right, and think about recruitment in the 90s, the recruitment there, like, you'd still pay a fee, but what you were paying for was for access to someone's black book. And it was a black book, wasn't it? They'd go, you need a head of finance. I have every head of finance in the whole of Bedfordshire in my black book, and I have their home telephone number. I could page any one of those right now and send them a fax, right? Would be the thing, right? Because there's no email and all that kind of stuff. I think we should be like, that's what we should be like. That's what recruiters should be selling. Is you're not paying for my time to search through CV Library. You're paying for access to my network. But there's no reason why internal talent can't be building that all of the time. Like building this little black book, and I'm saying little black book as a bit of an analogy, like however you want to track that. But I think that's the big thing, like building pools of passive candidates all of the time, speaking to people, saying, I don't have an opportunity for you right now, but I'd love to get to know you. And I'd love to know what too good to say no to looks like. So that if that crops up in our organisation, I can get in touch. Like go and have like 10 of those conversations every single week, and then you've just got this pool of good people. Rather than
some people miss that opportunity and see it as a I'm so time poor, because I do believe that TA is a big job. It's a very important job, and the pressures and the stresses are there in abundance. Do you feel sometimes some really good candidates are overlooked just for time restraints? And, Chris mentioned company branding. I still don't think we pride ourselves at MIXXOS in making sure we get back to everyone, but it's still a massive weakness out there in the market, whether it's recruitment external or recruitment internal. Sometimes can overlook a good candidate that's not suitable for that role, but like could be an absolute gem. And it's never malicious, but it's always from a time poor perspective. So do you feel like there could be a lot more of that happening in the TA world, where they're actually picking up the phone and building that relationship and pipelining that candidate for the future?
I think that should absolutely be happening. I think there's a couple of other things in what you're saying there. I think there's the way in which we, and I say we, I mean like as a collective, talent, recruiters, agency side, internal, the way that we advertise to candidates, applicants, call them what you will, is atrocious for the most part. And there's people way more qualified than me to talk about this, right? About how to advertise. But one of my pet hates is if you don't hear from us within 14 days, please assume that you're unsuccessful. Like a variation of that, I think is horrendous. But also using using an advert to exclude people, like you must have, I think, is like one of the worst things you can put on an advert. Like I find it fascinating that I think if you were to engage with an actual advertising agency, like go and speak to Ogilvy and say, can you write a job advert for us? It would be phenomenal. It'd be like a John Lewis advert. But yeah, we don't do that. We take a job description and paste that and go, here it is. It doesn't attract people. And so I think that's part of the issue as well. And there's loads of there's lots of research on this, of having like how female applicants read an ad and what will entice them, and having that you must have. And I think I'm going to quote this incorrectly, but there or thereabouts, it was something like if there was 10 you must haves on an advert, the average male, if they've got 3 of the 10, they'll apply. The average female had to have 8 of the 10 to consider applying. So
discounting so much talent.
Yeah, absolutely.
When actually a lot of it could just be a nice to have. It's not essential.
It's a wish list, right? So I think maybe I've gone off a bit of a tangent there, but I think that's a problem generally. And then there's the whole just not getting back to people because I don't need that person right now. So yeah, I think the building pools of passive candidates is, I think it's a massive thing. Like I say this to agency recruiters all the time, is that when you're talking to your clients, one of the things you should be talking about is the difference between candidates and applicants. And so an applicant, and again I'll generalize, is someone that is applying to jobs. They're either unemployed, unhappy, like seeking something new.
Yeah.
A candidate, and that's what you get for a job advert. A candidate is someone that is happily, gainfully employed, probably at one of your competitors, but maybe willing to have a conversation based on a founder story, the possible career progression, something else interesting, exciting.
Yeah.
But we can get those applicants by sticking an advert out, but know that they're just clicking apply, and the job boards don't help this. Easy apply. Don't even bother reading the bloody thing. Just see the job title, salary, location, and click yeah. Whereas these people need nurturing, and something else has to happen. But if you was to ask most employers, the person you want me to find for this job, do you reckon they're going to be unemployed or employed? They'll go, oh, find me an employed person, because there's this assumption that they're better.
Always.
And also you get this, I don't want any gaps in a CV.
Yeah.
No gaps in employment.
I think that's changed
perfect.
a little bit with the pandemic. People's views of
I've done a lot of BD this week, and I would say the area that I went to, 7 in every 10 clients use Indeed, and they would rather try and do it themselves. So can you imagine, over here is their applicant pool, Indeed, and then over here is the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So they're kind of dipping into a pool of people that are readily available, actively looking for work. But most of them were very strong in stipulating, I don't want to see gaps in employment when we're having these conversations, like what does an ideal candidate look like for this role? Someone with consistency in a role, someone without breaks in their CV. Whereas one thing that we do really well here is explore those breaks, and we'll still present them, won't we, to the client, even if they have had valid time out of work. But I just think there's a lot that can be done, I think, to enhance the whole experience for the candidate, the other side of the spectrum, both with agency and with internal, for sure.
One of the things you touched on was around, we were talking about COVID and the pandemic. I don't want to harp on about it, but I feel like that advanced the world that we live in by like 15 years in terms of technology and all of that side of things. So when you're thinking about building candidate pipelines from an internal, whether that's talent, HR, owner, manager, whatever, that coupled with online presence, company brand, reputation, Google reviews, all of these Trustpilot, all of these elements I feel build up, because there's some companies that are obviously doing it amazing. We obviously have Red Bull in Milton Keynes on our doorstep. The brand kind of speaks for itself. They probably would reach out to an agency 1 in 3,000 jobs, because the level of applicants that get through, because the brand is so strong, people want to work there, right? So I feel like there's definitely been a shift in the sense of, yes, you can build candidate pools and you can do everything you want within your remit, but actually the company branding and the company reputation isn't great, it is quite difficult. And I think sometimes I can imagine internally talent teams are having these battles with line managers and their feedback for candidates, or why are you discounting this person, and all of these elements that kind of play into it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I obviously Red Bull, the name above the door, like you said, it's people go, oh, that's exciting, it's going to work at Red Bull. The challenge comes when you, in the most respectful way, you don't have a sexy, exciting brand that you're, I don't know, you engineer ball bearings, and
one of our clients does that. They actually do.
You go like that's not sexy, is it? It's not people going, oh my god, but I think you're absolutely right. There's some things that you can do from a company branding perspective. Maybe even like you see like personal branding for recruiters has just gone like that, right? Of how important that is, and you guys do it amazingly well here. You see very little of that in the internal talent space, do you?
There's a couple that I follow that do it really well, and I'm like, go you, like. But to be honest, both of them come from agency. So I don't know if it's a confidence thing or if it's something that they'd started to do before they moved to internal.
We spoke about it before. I think it's British culture as well, right? The Brits don't like to shout how great they are. Like if you go to America, everyone's your biggest fan. Over here, if you're doing anything remotely different, it's almost like you're frowned upon, and people are like, oh, look at them, they think they're great. It's like the society we live in. So that's an interesting
there's a company that we work with, and look, they still use us to partner with in specific areas of the business, but their key objectives going into 26 is to feature on more podcasts as a guest, to launch their own podcast eventually, for the TA to create her own sense of identity and push that out on social media platforms, on LinkedIn, and sort of not just be the recruiter for my company, but this is me, this is my personality, and drawing people in like that, going to the networking events. So I do think the ones that are a little bit forward thinking, and like I don't look at that as a threat and oh my god, they'll never use us. They absolutely will still use us and partner with MIXXOS for the right opportunities. And we've got loads of clients where we only supply in one area of their business because the other areas, they've either got a churn of good candidates come into the business, or it's not essential. So for us, it's not necessarily about having the whole of that business to hire for. It's about being there and showing up when they need us most. It could be once a year that they use us, but we've got partners, haven't we, that recruit on a lesser basis. So definitely. I think the ones that are doing a lot more outside the box are definitely leading the way than just posting on Indeed. So that's the kind of common theme I hear time and time again is, I post on Indeed.
We had quite an interesting conversation in the car on the way here, thinking about how people internally can get CEOs, kind of business leaders, MDs, whoever it is, to buy into that training and development piece. Do you find that you come up against that a lot in regards to, obviously I know that predominantly it's recruitment focused for recruiters. I know you do some other bits in other spaces as well, but away from the recruiter side, do you find there's a lot of internal battles in terms of trying to get buy-in from senior leadership to invest in development and training? Because I was really honest with you about how we ended up partnering, because you know, you just presume that everyone knows what you know, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's well, look, I've only ever delivered training for 4 businesses, like internal talent teams, right? Whereas at any given time, we're working with, between me, the other Jamie, around 300 agency side recruiters. So maybe that tells you, like, I don't believe that I don't believe there's enough training happening for people that are working in internal talent on how to do all the things we're talking about, how to write better job adverts, how to, like, message people directly on LinkedIn in a way that they'll reply, how to cold call some of those people and start a conversation, how to meet them for coffee, who to type, like all of that stuff.
How to manage a difficult hiring manager.
That's a
because
real
they
thing,
need reining
right?
back in, they need support.
Yeah,
if it's anything like, you know, even Chris and I, we run a recruitment business. We're leaders of a recruitment business. We know we want top talent. It doesn't mean we're not hurricane whirlwinds that don't have the physical time to sit down and get out of our brain what it is that we need. And having a really good TA person that's able to sit down with a hiring manager and say, I need you for an hour in the room. No distractions. This job description is from 2017. We can't work with this.
Yeah.
What's changed? What's important? What are the key measurables? All of those things are so important. So I think it just goes right back to even before advertising, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Like, managing stakeholders is probably the hardest part of it. If you're a head of internal talent or HR, I would suspect, from a recruitment perspective, that's probably the hardest thing, is managing stakeholders. Like all of that stuff, candidate control, like the keeping people in process.
It's a big one.
All of that. There's just, like, I don't think it's happening. I don't think it's happening for enough internal teams. And I think your question was, like, how do you get buy-in from those people? I don't think it's by shouting at them. And I think
throwing stuff at them.
Yeah, throwing. It's I think, like most things, like, buying processes have changed completely, and I think it's social proof and evidence, isn't it? And I was talking about this at an event, like the buying process of, like, the example I gave was a holiday. Do you remember, like, when you first booked a holiday, like with the boys, with the girls, you went into the travel agents and you sat down with the lady or the man and it showed you all the brochures. Like, no one buys like that now.
Yeah,
you go on TripAdvisor.
We do.
Yeah, that's
we
good.
Actually do, don't
That's
we?
good. That's because it's the high end stuff, right?
No, but we've already looked into it and know where we want to go. We'd maybe just go in there to get the final icing on the cake.
Yeah, there's that's happened with car sales. I'm going off a tangent here, but that happened with car sales, right? 30 years ago, you go and buy a car, you go into the place, the showroom, the person stood in front of you knew more about the car than you did. That was the dynamic. Yeah. Now, you go in to buy your new car, you go in and you know everything about it. You go, I'm after the BMW 3 Series I want this package on it, this steering thing, and I want the bit where the boot does. You know all about it.
And I can get it for this price down the road.
Yeah, right? So the buying process has changed, and the point I was making, the holiday, like, now you go onto TripAdvisor, you've got an idea of where you want to go, you go on TripAdvisor, you see what Sharon from Doncaster thinks about the place, what she says about the buffet and how clean the pool is, and you're like, yeah, cool, there's social proof here, I'll buy that. So most of the business that we win comes off the back of recommendation, referrals, so lots and lots of social proof, like video testimonials, not just Jamie was amazing, recruitment business owner, like it's real evidence from real people. And then just, like, subtly just calling out what I think the problems are. And the one that I use all the time, like, if you think your team could and should be producing more revenue, maybe we should have a conversation of just planting seeds all the time, isn't it? I think. But you're absolutely right. I think training is one of those things where it is definitely not valued by everyone.
Even to the degree of sales teams, whether it's based in the office, telephone sales, whether it's field sales, I think there's still definitely a lot of movement that could happen there, more forward thinking, because traditional sales routes and causes for success have changed a lot. It would be good to hear your stance on this, because certainly from where Chris and I are from, it was all about the phone bash. Like, more calls you got out there, the better. And it was very aggressive. Yes, tables have turned now. Yes, there's a lot more tech involved. LinkedIn wasn't even a massive thing when we were both growing desks back in our heyday. So whether it's recruitment or whether it's internal sales for any ilk of organisation, any product, any service, what do you think are the kind of key fundamentals to drive in good sales? And what would you take into an organisation and say, look, this is what I think you guys need to work on?
So funny actually. So we've had like every now and again, I'll get a random message, email, phone call from someone saying, "Can you do this?" And we've done so this year we did some training for a children's nursery, like a chain of German nurseries entering the UK market. They were like, "We need to convert our leads, but we're getting loads of leads from Facebook ads. We need to convert them better. Could you help us?" Yeah, absolutely. We've done some work with a stockbroking firm. We've done some work with an exterior building cleaning company. A kids theatre school. Like there's like really like, you go, wow, that's so different to what we do. But actually, sales is sales, right? And I think some of this has almost gone full circle because I'm the same, right? I was brought up 2008. You make 100 phone calls a day, and that's what you do. And email was only for follow up. Whereas now it's completely different. There's all of this tech and all the. But I think, like I said earlier, I think so many people are hiding behind the tech. And I almost think like the phone call is now a bit of a differentiator. People aren't getting the same volume of sales calls that they once were, and so I think that's a really key thing. And I also, do you know what? There's something in phoning people, especially the higher up the, I don't want to say food chain. That sounds awful, doesn't it? But like the more senior the person, I think there's some merit in phoning them at 7:30 in the morning. Like they answer the phone, and I can tell you because I've done it myself.
It's normally the best time to get through to them. It's not in the rat race for the day, are they?
No, exactly. And they're definitely up. Like if you're the CEO of a business, you're definitely not laying in bed watching Good Morning Britain, right? I don't think anyway. And so I think the phone is still probably the most powerful bit of kit that you have as a salesperson. But then having all the other stuff as well. So whatever we do, and you would have heard me talk about this, like multi-channeled outreach, that it hasn't got to be phone, email, phone, email, phone, email. You can absolutely message someone on LinkedIn. Massive fan of voice noting on LinkedIn. I'm a big fan of using WhatsApp for BD, like sending voice notes on WhatsApp, sending video messages on WhatsApp. Now it depends on whereabouts in the funnel. Like sending a video message to someone is not top of funnel stuff, right? That would almost be a bit much as a first interaction. But then, like even some.
Although I think it might create a bit of curiosity. One thing I get smashed with sales stuff all day long. Anyone that's listening to this now is going to try and get into another way. But if they've written a message, it will determine whether I open it or not by the first line. Like the first few words, period, will determine whether I open it or not. If someone sent a video or a voice note, you're almost a bit curious to think, I'm just going to click on that. I'm just going to play that. Of course, they've still only got a few seconds, but by that point, as a human brain, you're slightly more switched on and engaged to someone's voice and face rather than just a bunch of words, which quite frankly right now could be AI. There's so much of it that's sort of a copy and paste or a bot it's being sent from.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The science says that you have 7 seconds. So the first 7 seconds of a voice note or a phone call are the most important bit, and that because that's the time. But within 7 seconds, we've made a decision on trust. So do I trust this person?
Yeah.
And it's within 3 seconds when you meet someone. So yeah, that's really important, and even that is where, again, it doesn't matter what side of the fence you are, whether you're sales, internal talent, recruiter. If you spend that first 7 seconds like weeing on someone, and I say weeing on them like just talk, we do this and we do this, like you've lost them. You've absolutely lost them. You've got to build trust and make it about them really bloody quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's that. I think it's not hiding behind a keyboard, but being as multi-channeled as you possibly can be, and that can go right down to like direct mail. It's I love that as an outreach. Again, probably further down the funnel, or someone that we're thinking about candidates again, someone that we have spoken to, we want to keep warm. Like what can you send them in a post it doesn't have to be loads of money. It could be a handwritten postcard. Yeah. Something like that. It has a completely different impact.
It's really interesting.
Event. You thinking about the Karen Brady thing?
No, I'm just thinking about.
I'll tell you about that
this year. for Christmas, we're actually going to write a handwritten card to all of our clients and post it to them.
I love that.
Because there's only so many box of celebrations you can take down. There's only so many times you can take, stuff down. And some of the clients that you work with now, they're not allowed to accept gifts. I don't know if you're coming up against that a lot, but the bribery act and all of that stuff that people are, businesses are driving. It's probably the CEOs.
They're like, it's fine, come on.
It's the talent and HR are getting all the presents. They're like, what's going on here?
I guess you just need to know your audience as well, don't you? Because we've done a lot of work with Chris Peace through the Impact Board, and we've all learnt about our gems, which you probably know about. And you've got someone that's an emerald that's completely analytical and they're just like, I just want to see facts, evidence, how you're going to save me money and how quickly you're going to do it, versus someone really fluffy and high up there, which is like a sapphire. They want to be your mate. They want to know when you're going for a Prosecco or a beer together. I want to know who your kids are, where they go to school, or this and that. It's about knowing that. So I had a meeting with a client yesterday and he said, I'm sick of people popping in with biscuits. I'm a full grown man. I don't need biscuits to give you the business. And that was his exact words. Like, tell me how you're going to bring value. Tell me how you're going to be the most efficient of the agencies out there. Get me the best quality within the quickest time at a reasonable cost.
Yeah.
So it's about knowing who you're kind of dealing with. And I appreciate when you're making a cold call, like you've got 7 seconds as well to kind of get your point across.
Do you know what though, Gemma? I think there's some generalisations in there as well. And like we work with businesses across a multitude. Imagine like every sector of recruitment you can imagine. We've probably got a client in there. And like when I had an education recruiter say to me, this was last year now, the thing is, like we don't get to go and drop off biscuits and stuff. We haven't got budget for that, and so that goes against us. So bloody hell, like if you need biscuits to win business, like you're in trouble anyway. But in a school, dropping off some biscuits or some celebrations is a really nice thing.
Yeah.
If you were to go and meet like someone very senior in a hedge fund, and you took a box of celebrations, they'd be, what the hell is this?
Yeah. Like
a £4 box of celebrate. You'd almost diminish all of your credibility immediately. Yeah. So I think within that, you're absolutely right. You don't know what you're going to be on the other end, what's going to be on the other end. But I think you can probably have an educated
like a warehouse manager would absolutely love
it.
Love it. Bring me donuts all day long. But someone that's working, I don't know, like a highly regulated organisation, they're just like...
And you turn up with some custard creams and some bourbons and go,
get
which
out
one
of
do you
my
want?
face right now.
It just...
and then there are some clients that are like, keep bringing the biscuits. I never intend to use you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You get
absolutely. So they quite like all the gifts.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a question for you, Jamie. If you could change anything or stop anything that's currently happening within talent, HR, recruitment, like big bugbears that you just think, why are people still doing that?
I think it's the advert thing. The advert thing, I like really grinds my gears. And
what, as in, if you don't hear back from us in X amount of time?
Not just that, just the poor quality of it. And like I said, there's people that are better qualified. Do you know what? I'll give them a shout out. Anyone that's unsure about how to write an advert that actually attracts people, go and follow Mitch Sullivan on LinkedIn. He is, he gives away like so much knowledge, and there's some amazing stuff that you can buy as well in terms of like training and courses. But yeah, that's a real big bugbear for me. Is the, because you said it earlier, this is a job description for 2017. That's what most people are going off, which is a superficial document that's been created by a HR department, and it's never changed. And they're taking that and pasting it and going, there's our advert. Best case is sticking it to ChatGPT and going.
From a time perspective, like time poor, need these candidates yesterday, got 18 other roles on at the minute, hiring managers shouting and screaming down my neck to get people through the door. Do you think it's just like, get it out there and hope people come in? Or is it just think it's not an actual urgent priority? Or do you think it's just like behave, like repetition, like people just keep doing, because we've always done it like that?
Yeah, I think it's actually elements of all of that. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to write an advert that isn't a pasted job description. I don't know how to turn this into a story. But I think this comes back to some of the branding stuff. Of like, can you turn that into a story? So rather than opening like, we are the #1 makers of ball bearings in the Bedfordshire area, like in the top of your advert, like, God, that's not got me. Whereas if it opened up with, it said, Gemma's just been promoted. You could be too. This could be your next job and the one after that too. Everyone here within the senior leadership has started, and you start to tell a story about what's happening in the, like, that's a really crap example, but it's a better opening.
I get what you mean. Yeah, 100%.
It's a better opening.
I mean, I sounds like I'll apply that. Yeah,
and so I think it's some of that. I think some of it is people have never been shown; they don't know how to do it. I think some of it is time constraints. Some of it is, like, that's one of the most dangerous sayings in any business, isn't it? We've always done it this way.
What are your thoughts on not advertising salaries?
Oh God.
Oh, I don't know. You could divide a room, couldn't you? Do you know what? I don't really care. I think, like, A/B test it, stick the advert out twice, and see what you get. And because that's all that really matters is, like, what gets you the better response.
I feel like, from my side, I feel like it's unethical. I think when I've challenged people on it, it's normally because they don't want people internally to know what other people are on, and it's like, what? Surely, yeah. I don't know. I just find it a bit unethical and a bit sneaky, a bit secrety. Like,
do you know, one of my clients said to me, he owns an agency, and he said he's got, like, this internal challenge for something. He was like, if I don't want people internally to know something, like that kind of thing, then I'm making the wrong decision. If I'm giving Gemma a pay rise and I don't want you to know about it, ethically I'm doing something wrong. And it's like, and so that's it. So they've moved to, like, this almost Swedish model where everyone knows everything. Everyone knows what everyone else earns every single month, and just remove the whole thing. Because you're absolutely right. That's typically what it is. And I want people internally to know we're paying a bit more now. And I think that's not a talent attraction thing. It's an ethical.
It's a hard one to manage though, Jamie, because, like we spoke about earlier with COVID. So, for example, you've had Joe Bloggs that's worked here for 10 years. He's your top performer and he's on 50k. But actually, post-COVID, you can't get anyone unless you pay 65.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you've got 8 Joe Bloggs that all need a 15 grand pay rise. How do you do it? So it is a real, like, it's a hard one. I do kind of understand it, but at the same time, it's getting the right balance, I think.
Yeah, I think that it purely comes down to decisions morally inside a business and where you want to align yourself. And
I think from a candidate's perspective as well, I mean, it's been years since I've been on the job market. I actually think I was 19 the last time I looked for a job, and that was my first job in recruitment.
Unemployable.
Steady. So, like, if I was looking for something specific and a role come up that the profile of it looked ideal, but there was no salary, through fear of rejection, you probably think, God, I could be peeing in the wind here. Like, this could be a 200 grand role. And actually, where I'm sitting right now, I'm probably around the 40. Oh, I won't send it. I'm not saying that would be everyone, but certainly earlier in my career, it probably would have stopped me if there wasn't a salary on it. I'd think, move along. Find something.
But then does that
fitting.
come back to the thing we spoke about earlier about women applying and men applying? Because I definitely would apply, no matter if there's a salary on it or not.
Potentially, who knows? And I suppose another thing in there is, like, you could go GEMS or disc profiling or whatever one you look at. That's going to have an impact on that, isn't it? So, I don't know. You make a case for both, can't you? It's I think it's one of those things that we argued until the cows come home, because there'll still be half the companies out there who go, no, we have to put the salaries on. I think, no, we won't.
I'd say a good 80-85% of our clients will always say, here's the salary. It's the odd
probably
new
more,
one that
probably
we
more
onboard.
than that, right?
Yeah,
I'd say
it's more the newer
95,
ones that we onboard that may, and then we'll have a conversation with them, consult them, and they get it, and they're like, do you know what? Yeah, you guys are actually right. We will. But sometimes it can just, like Chris said, be disruptive to the different layers they've already got in place if they are manoeuvring some shifts and kind of leveling people on, different salary bandings and stuff like that. What are you smiling at?
No, I agree. I was just thinking, like,
you're
it's
thinking,
like,
well, Jamie's just given Gemma a promotion and a pay rise.
No. I'm just thinking, like, the recruitment and talent space is a funny old place, isn't it? Like, people get hung up on so much stuff. It's like, just do what's right for you. Yeah. Control the controllables. Yeah. You're not gonna change everyone, are you? Right?
No.
So,
no, absolutely.
But it just makes me laugh, like, that we're still talking about this conversation. And, the worst one is the poll on LinkedIn. Bloody hell, like, what do you prefer?
Hybrid.
Work from home or shut the fuck up. No one
Yeah.
cares. Like, it's boring. It's so boring. Just do what works for your company, and if the job's right and it fits, go for it. And if you don't want to work in the office all the day, or you don't want to work at home all the time, don't apply for the job.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are the two things, aren't
The
they?
end.
You see a poll of that like once a week. Work from home, hybrid, or in the office full time. And
There should be an option like don't give a fuck at the bottom, and then just everyone votes it. Like, stop putting these polls up. Oh dear. Jamie, thinking about your career, obviously not the gas engineer tool carrier days, but thinking about your career, is there anyone in particular that you would say to get to where you are today has had like a really big influence on you? And yeah.
Yeah, and do you know what? There's been lots of people. I've been fortunate. I've had some really, really good people around me. One. Do you want me to name someone? Like, was that
Yeah,
that
you
the
can
question?
go.
Who is it? Yeah,
The floor's yours. Go for it.
do you know what? Like the first person that was like, I think really a guy called Matt West owns a company called EWI Recruitment. So he interviewed me at the company I first got a job at. Strangely, so I'd never met him, but how this actually came about. So I'd just been sacked. Right, I'm sat at home in my flat. With my missus.
You're never going to live this down, you know that.
Do you know, so it was November 2007, right? We just bought our first flat. Now, you know what's going to happen 6 months later, don't you? Like, the whole market's going to crash and this flat's worth 60 grand less than what we paid for it anyway. So I bought this flat, find myself unemployed, and my missus had this mate Laura, and she's popped round for a glass of wine or a cup of tea or whatever. And she was like, "You all right?" I said, "Not really, just been sacked." And she was like, "What are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to..."
Friend of the year.
Yeah.
You've got to keep her here.
She went, "What are you going to do?" I was like, "I'm going to try and work in recruitment." She went, "I'll work in recruitment." I was like, "Do ya?" She went, "Yeah, I'm." She was a receptionist at this recruitment company. She was like, "And my boyfriend Matt, he's one of the managers now. I can get him to interview if you want." I was like, "Oh, amazing, thank you." So when I knocked up a CV, Laura's given it to Matt, and he phoned me the next day. And obviously, just pretended he knew nothing. It was just like, "I've been handed a copy of your CV. I'd like to invite you in for an interview." Like, brilliant. And he interviewed me, and I maybe didn't realise it as much at the time. He led me. There was another like senior person. He led me through the interview, right, to get me to give the right answers and all that sort of stuff. And he probably has no recollection of this, but he was then really influential in like getting me started. And then there was this thing happened internally in the business where 5 people one day just got up and left and went and set up on their own, which was like a big thing. We had a big sales floor of like 50 people, but these 5 people left. And one of them had like an awesome desk. And he just grabbed me. He was like, "I'm going to move you onto this desk." I was like, "Oh my gosh." And that had a huge impact on what I was then able to do. And just the constant, like, he always had that right balance of encouragement, training, development, bollockings when you needed them. So he was massive on my career, and I wouldn't have done the things I'd gone on to. Like, I went on to in that business. I was a very, very, very good biller, comparative to the rest of the business, and a lot of that was down to Matt. So yeah, he was a massive influence.
Do you still speak to him now?
He was on my podcast last week.
Was
actually. He? Yeah, the episode will be out in January. But yeah, so yeah, still speak to him.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Given that most of the audience for In The Mixx community is people in all different levels of HR, and then the same again in TA. So people listening to this could be right in the infancy of their HR career, thinking about going from an administrator to a coordinator, from a coordinator to a advisor, HR VP, and so on and so forth. What piece of career advice would you give to somebody listening, which could be, it's not industry specific, one piece of advice that you would give people listening in?
Do you know what someone said to me? This was actually back at Ted Baker. So a regional manager, like my boss's boss, said to me once, and he's a guy I got really well with, and he said, "Seek forgiveness, not permission."
Yeah.
And that sounds like a really like flippant or stupid, I don't know, throwaway comment.
Gives you the wings to fly.
It was just like, and I think I've said it to everyone that's ever worked for me, is just go and do it. And if it doesn't work out, we figure it out. But I think too many people wait for permission to do something.
Yeah.
And the people that you see, well, that I see, really kick on in business, in life, doesn't matter what level you're at just now, just go and do the thing that you think is the right thing to do, and then go back and go, I did this, and this is what happened, or I did this, and this is what happened. But the reason I was doing it was because of this. I don't know if that's career advice or life advice or just a silly thing. But for me, it was I don't know. It just opened up something where I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna do these things. I'm gonna see what happens. And sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't.
Is that the mantra at home with the kids? So like, you got the crayon in your hand. Do you really want to make some artwork on the wall? Just go for it.
When I think back to like, and you're right. There's not many people that have that kind of outlook. Like when I think back to my first recruitment job, like put it into perspective, I was on the tools. Like I was a floor layer for years. Never worked in an office or in recruitment or anything. And my then manager, she used to wind me up and then just let me go. She'd be like, don't worry, like you can't, the only mistake you're going to make is not doing it. And she'd just let me go, and I'd just go. And I was like, so just like free and just be out there knocking doors, making calls. I mean, I dread to think what I used to say and what I used to sound like compared to where I'm at now. And I think there were so many people in that organisation at the time. Again, we had a big office and there was loads of people in there, and so many people were scared to make mistakes or scared to try something different. Or so actually, it may sound like you said, a flippant comment, but actually it is. You'd rather than people. I always say you'd rather than people that can rein in a little bit than ones that you've got to put a rocket up, because to rein them in, you can kind of mould them and steer them and drive them. Whereas the ones that maybe fear of failing or don't have that up and go, you've got to they become like a energy hoover, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can apply that to most roles, regardless of what level you're at.
I like that.
Good one. Why are you looking at me and smiling?
Nothing. I'm all good. I thought
This is the first podcast we're going to have to edit because you're like,
I'm just smiling at you.
Normally you close.
If I sit there, do you know what, Jamie? It's like, like if you sit there and say nothing and you're like not smiling, you're miserable. If you smile,
what's the matter with you?
Why are you so happy?
It's like the evil beard twizzle.
No, I was just thinking. Jamie obviously's mentioned about that comment, and I was just like, nostalgic memories of like the days when I used to walk around Farringdon with my backpack on, knocking doors in the rain and shit. And it's like, how the fuck did we get here, man? This is crazy. Like, to be honest, what happens is as well, Gemma just goes off scripts and then she's like, oh, it's your turn to speak. And it's like, well, where's my question at?
We're freestyling, aren't we?
Oh, I know. I actually really like that, but I do know what you say. If you don't put context behind what you said, then people just see it. It's like one of them quotes you see on Instagram or something. That looks good, doesn't it? But actually there's some real kind of tangibles behind it that people can take and implement. Like I always say, like, for example, if you've just got into HR or you're HR admin or you want to get into HR, like, are you looking at what qualifications can get you, like the CIPD? And actually, when I think about my trajectory within my career or Gemma's, I think actually we knew the people that was at the top and we could see who was in between and what you needed to do to get there, and then you just kind of reverse engineer it. Whereas what a lot of people will do, and I have these conversations regularly with my 21-year-old daughter, is like, you're not going to be a millionaire tomorrow, darling. Like, no matter how hard you work today, you're not going to be a millionaire tomorrow. Like, you just see this peak of the mountain on social media and think that that's the reality.
It's not gratification, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you can look at, actually, I'm a firm believer that you can actually achieve anything you want in your life, whether that's work, financials, health, whatever it might be. If you are dedicated and committed enough to it over a period of time, you can do it, no matter what it is. I'm a firm believer in that. And I think it's very similar in careers. What happens is people get in to a good job and then within 6 months to a year, they want to know why they're not getting promoted, why they're not getting pay rise, why they're not getting... And sometimes just jump ship rather than sticking out and thinking that the grass is green on the other side.
There's also a lot to be said about surrounding yourself with the person or persons that you most aspire to be like, or you can see are absolutely crushing it, rather than sitting there thinking, he's earning such and such, or she's smashing it over there and feeling a little bit envious. It's like, go immerse yourself in it. Find out why they're so good. What are they doing? Mirror it, rinse and repeat, and go again and go again and go again until you're elevated.
Do you know what? I've never, like, I'm a big fan of that, of being around people that are ahead of where you want to be. And never once have I approached someone that's ahead of me and said, can you just tell me, like, what is it you're doing? Or can you, how do you go about that thing? And it's amazing. Those people, in my experience, have always been willing to share and help. Like, very rarely they go like, oh, I'm not telling you. Like, that just doesn't happen. So I think actually, like you said, going and seeking out people that are ahead of you, that where you want to be, and get their counsel, get their guidance, ask questions, be curious. I think that's like you said, it. Everyone wants it now, and there's very little. Very few people embrace delayed gratification, do they? It's all about the now, and that's just without getting too airy-fairy on it. That's our society, isn't it? Anything you want now, you have it instantly. Yeah.
I think the mentor piece is quite an untouched subject. Like, I think it was I was reading the book, I think it was Richard Branson about Virgin, and it was like he's got like, I mean, this is the next level, but I think he's got like 10 different coaches for different things. I think that's a bit much, but you know, why does the likes of Roger Federer have a coach? Why does the likes of, you know, Ronaldo, who has his probably 3 different coaches, health and fitness? Do you know what I mean? It's like, and they're the best of the best of the best, you know? So I think there's definitely something in terms of that. You almost
need psychology on fitness. Obviously, whatever your profession is.
We know a few people that are in the TA space or the HR space that have been more junior in their career, but actually they've found a mentor, maybe not within their organisation, but another organisation, and they've taken them under the wing and helped them grow and develop. And I just think that there's really something in that. I think, like, you know, I didn't become a top billing recruiter by sitting in my own lane. Mate, I wanted to hang around with all the top billers and know what you're doing. Where this, like, they leave secrets behind, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just say this thing a lot. I think, like, I used to see this, probably used to see it more than I see it now, but there was like 2, and maybe it's because we're bringing less juniors through in the world of recruitment right now, but people would typically gravitate towards one group. They'd come and bring in 12, 15 juniors at the same time, and some of them been in the corner moaning about how hard it is, and others would be going like, hey, you billed 100 grand last month, can I come and have lunch with you and pick your brain? Can I buy you a coffee? And like, go and speak to those people rather than those people. And you've got a choice there, haven't you? Who you're going to hang out with. You're the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
100%. When I think about, because I was in head office in Liverpool Street when I first started in recruitment, and I was part of a larger global brand with one agency of about 18, but they had all the agencies in the one head office. And I think within like 2-3 months, I knew everyone in the building. Everyone was like, how do you know everyone? I said, I don't know, I just chat shit to them like when we were getting the morning coffee and stuff. Yeah. And then like the global CEO, like, she was quite daunting. People, like, you always just like, oh my God, like, she's in today. Like, and then I think it was like 9 months to a year in, I was in her office, like, just chatting to her and that. And like my MD walked past, and when I come out, I was like, why were you in there? I was like, what's up with you? Like, chill out. I was only like chatting to her, and like, I just feel like you don't get that very often.
Yeah.
And I'm just talking crap, like, not even really talking about work, just like all kinds of shit. And so yeah, it's a dying art, I think.
I think so. You just reminded me, I don't know if I can share this quickly. We used to have this thing when the company became it was Randstad at that point, or maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was before we came. No, it was before we came Randstad, and it was still Beresford Blake Thomas.
Was it pre-COVID or
pre-COVID? Yeah. And we used to have we moved into a new office, and the company CEO was in that building then in Victoria, and his PA was there, and she was quite like a stickler for, like, if a spoon was left in the kitchen, and obviously kitchens back then were like a third of the size of this room for 100 people. But if there was a spoon on the side, that was it. The next day, the kitchen was getting locked. No one was allowed access to it. But she used to have this thing as well, that she had a clear desk policy. So your desk had to be like completely clean at the end of the day. And like, recruiters aren't that, like, there was just paper everywhere.
Quite right? Untidy.
And so every now and again, she'd just pick one. She'd clear all the stuff off your desk, and she'd go and put it in the corner of the CEO's office. So you'd get in the morning and be like, oh, oh no. And then you have to go and knock on his door and say, I'm really sorry. my desk was obviously dirty, so Nonny has removed all of it and put it in the corner there. Please, can I get beg for you to have your stuff back?
That's crazy.
And I don't think that maybe lent itself to just go and talk to anyone in that environment, but it probably forced you to go and have conversations that you didn't want to have. Yeah.
Oh dear. I think we're drawing to a close now. I guess with a final question would be, across the talent space, that's HR, talent, recruitment, what would you see? I feel like I know where most people go with this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Where would you say the biggest disruptor or the market shift's going to be? And it can't be 2 letters.
Artificial intelligence. So no, like, it's there's no getting away from it. Like, it's just it's and we're in the infancy stage of this.
It's crazy how much it's advanced, right? Already.
And we're not even touching the sides yet of what's going to happen. That is the biggest disruptor. It's disrupting everything already. It's going to continue to do so. But it comes back to the bit I was saying right at the beginning. Go and be human, because it's taken people's jobs. It's not taken people's jobs. That's not right. It's just replaced a need for humans 100%. In some areas, and it's going to continue to do that. The bit that it will never be able to do is pick up the phone and influence someone based on my assessment of their personality profile, of some pain points that I've seen in another business. It's never going to go and walk a factory floor. It's never going to pick up on culture in an office. It's never going to just read those little body language cues across a boardroom. All of that stuff there, it's just got to, like I said, being human is the only advantage you will have at some point. I don't know when that moment's going to be, but...
And one thing I keep hearing about is it's the people that are going to lean into it and help the people element that AI is going to really help. We spoke about a certain technology company on the way here, didn't we, in the car? Like, if it's as good as what it says it is, it will save someone like me 8 to 10 hours a week at least, and free me up and our team up here to spend more time with people.
Yeah, and that's going to be the biggest difference. That's the difference I've seen so far. Is take AI out of it. Just technology and recruitment. Again, whether that's internal, agency side, it's gone through the roof over the last few years. And some people have used that to enable them to spend more time doing the high impact stuff. Yeah. Some people have done that, gone, this is great, I now get an easier life. I can do 40 hours work, in 30 hours I can kick back for 10 hours and either pretend to look busy, just completely chill out, or whatever else they're doing. Other people have gone, wow, I've got 10 hours, I can go and meet another 10 people for lunch this month. I think, and there's...
Imagine the generations to come though. So the kids coming into the working world, like the future looks so different for them. But for us, it's adjustment. I don't think it will be for them. Like 10's 10 and he's like doing his maths homework and he's frustrated because his time's running out. He's got 50 questions, the clock's ticking. So he's like,
he's on Gemini. I'm like, mate, you can't get the answer off that.
Get off ChatGPT now. He's like, it's not ChatGPT, it's Gemini. And I'm like, same fucking thing, mate. Get off of it.
But this is the mad thing here is, right, is I could go on about this for hours, but our education system is ill-equipped to prepare kids for what they need.
Oh, don't get started on that.
Like, how at work, you don't solve problems on your own, do you? You're part of big teams. You go, client said this, like, what do you reckon we should do? And we all solve it together.
Always.
Not go and sit in that desk in silence and figure it out by yourself. That doesn't happen. And so the other mad thing, like, I've got a 10-year-old and I think about this all the time. The job that she's going to do when she's older, it doesn't exist yet. And so how do I don't know how to prepare her for what's going to come. It's I could do a whole other podcast on that.
Yeah, I went to the recruitment agency exhibition in Birmingham a few months back, October it was, and it was quite overwhelming, the amount of AI tools and plugins and this price and this subscription and this and that for a recruitment leader. Is there any particular, and you don't have to name them, you can if you want, but is there any particular technologies that you've seen that thought, bloody hell, that's a really good one?
Someone showed me one 2 weeks ago that I won't name it because I've not seen it enough to shout them out. But for me, it was the only thing I've ever seen that looks like it could rival LinkedIn Recruiter. and like LinkedIn has a monopoly on our industry.
Yes, true.
And I don't particularly like the way that they behave. This was the only thing I've seen that's almost like a CRM platform that looks like it could do something pretty amazing in that space. I think, yeah. But the piece of technology we were talking about, like the kind of a phone system, I suppose as its initial thing, that will save hours, absolutely hours. A lot of there's a couple of like AI first CRMs that a couple of them that look really, really good in terms of like real time saving, proper AI that says, here you go, you've just pulled that job, here's someone you spoke to 3 weeks ago and you mentioned this word 9 times in that briefing call. She has this word 7 times on her CV. I think you should speak to her. Like that kind of stuff there.
Yeah, it's crazy to see how much things have advanced in such a short space of time. But I think also for the right businesses that are growing and innovative, etc., I think that they'll really do well. But I think also, you keep touching on it throughout the podcast, is that human element. If you can get the right blend of the right tech and the right human touch, I think people are going to fly. But then I do think people are going to get left behind as well. One of the things is around that relationship levels as well that we spoke about. And I think that in-person events, plus with your own internal right technology, but I think from an owner's perspective, like the technology space right now is like a minefield, and it's so tempting to be dipping into every piece of technology. Like I've seen quite a lot of people post about recruitment leaders that have got 5 bits of technology and not using one properly.
Yeah.
And I think that we're the opposite. We're trying to just get one, then another, and just slowly kind of do it, you know?
I think there's a lot of people looking for a silver bullet, I think, is that this is the one thing that's going to change everything. And very rarely will it be. But I think that's the right way to do it, is find one thing, implement it, make sure everyone's using it, that you've got internal champions for it. I see that too often, that someone buys a piece of tech, go, oh, we've got this automation tool, it's going to do this. And then at the end of the 12-month contract, they can't wait to get out of it because no one's really used it.
Don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Well, it's been amazing last hour.
Thank you for having me.
Where can people find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn, or they can put Jamie Burrows into ChatGPT.
They know all about you.
There you go. No, you can find me on LinkedIn, Jamie Burrows.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Jamie.